I really wanted to talk about what's going on with oil, and if you guys got my notes today, I posted a couple of notes saying I'm not expecting the same thing that happened a few weeks ago, right? I'm not expecting everything to dump along with oil like it did whenever we had this sell-off, right? Actually, it was this one. Let's put BTC next to it, go to the weeklies. And we had some savage bearish action on this last oil sell-off, right? It was like right here, everything dumped. And now we saw another oil move set up. I mean, some charts were negative. We're tracking USO because that's the ETF that we typically expose ourselves to when we're trading oil. And ironically, going off this previous range, right here, and so you guys can see that, it went all the way down to 1.618 extension. I mean, that is a huge bearish move. And I don't typically believe in charts turning at the 1.6. So I'm choosing to extend my fib out a little bit further to give us where liquidity is going to play out on gold. And it's looking like between 170 and 180. $1.70, $1.80 at the USO price. And is that even valid? Well, by using the same same methods, right? We did see some liquidity plays over here and came down to 1.618 back above. I'm gonna get rid of my current fib. We're just gonna stick to before this dump, right? And I guess the 2.0 is not even there, it's sub-zero. And so yeah, I guess fibs work, they're fantastic. So we had the initial rejection, secondary rejection, right? So trading this, I still haven't taken a position in a while. If that was bottom at the 1.6, which I don't think it is, or it was, yeah, I'm looking for it to go a little further, right? Looking for something like this, 1.8, 1.9, 1.75, and at that point I'd want to buy like maybe $2 calls or something. I want to see oil below the $2 mark. Got the 231 today. All right. So that being said, how is this going to impact the rest of the markets? Are we going to see a savage sell-off on BTC? Are we going to see the S&P, take another dump? Well, I think we're not, right? I mean, looking at the S&P, where it was back then and where it is now are two completely, I mean, it's a complete different setup. Siri, it's a complete different setup, where the S&P was and where it is now. And let's see what's going on here. So I'm still looking for the 290 mark, right? I'm still looking for the 61.8 retracement, the period 292, 293 on the S&P. Now, can you see some further downside liquidity? Yes, but the 61.8 here, we're still not there yet. This is a liquidity play. But one thing we know for certain, as if you guys have been following me, past few months, past few years, really, I talk about, the Fed liquidating shorts and trapping shorts underwater. And back then, right here, when this oil dump started, on the initial oil dump, right, back here, the Fed wasn't buying, right? The Fed wasn't doing anything. The Fed wasn't in charge. The Fed let the market do its thing, go through its natural course, and they let it come down. Then it got to a Fed liquidity point, right? And that's where we got federal interference, and it said you're going to switch long, we're going to target 292. And so now the Fed is moving the market, right? Mainly, it's indices and futures, and they're the ones doing the buying. And I've highlighted this in previous trains, but they tend to buy futures and after hours and trap bears underneath. That's just what we saw over here, this whole way up, right? This whole entire leg up. I thought we were gonna go down further, but no, they just kept buying futures and after hours. And I think we're gonna see something very similar play out, right? We might see another like red day, but 292 is my current target, and I think we're gonna get there. And I think this, oil dumping, I think it's a good thing. Why? Because now the S&P, right? We've got some bears trapped down here. So whenever the Fed wants to pump it back up and fill this gap, we're gonna see some short squeezing, right? We're gonna see the market rally, and we're gonna see shorts covering, and that's gonna trigger it to go higher. Now, I was using Phantom on this earlier today, and not quite post some signals. I think Phantom 30-minute, right? I mean, it's hovering right ahead of sell zone. Right now, it's hovering right above the buy zone. So, right when we get 271, I'm probably gonna add to my extra long calls. And I do think the 292 area is still the target. Now, this, it's good because realistically, everybody that saw the oil move was like, oh my god, I better short everything. We're going to see another dump. And that's trading not like based on emotions. That's trading based off of trauma, right? Which is worse than trading on emotions. And once again, I do think, now the Fed's in charge. Back then they weren't. Or they just weren't actively buying, and now they are. So that's sort of my perspective on this whole oil situation. I'm still going to go to some charts. Excuse me, guys, can't really get a haircut because we're still on lockdown, right? We've been on lockdown for like 6 weeks now. Let's look over at Bitcoin. You guys are probably wondering, I did post an update today. I said, I'm expecting the chart to go up, and we saw some bullish action, got rejected. We're kind of coming back down. Phantom hourly, right? This is really critical. I'm gonna go ahead and add our scanner because I'm looking for two things here. I'm looking for two things. Go to the 30-minute. I think it was the 5. So small time frames. We're showing a couple of bullish harmonics. 786. It's a butterfly, right? With a stop down here. You guys can see I have an alert set as 6806. And that's where my mental stop is on partial of my long. That way I get stopped out on some of my long, and then my shorts would profit down to the next phantom level. A bounce off 6814, right, which is gonna be the stop for the butterfly we see on the chart, is going to go ahead and send BTC back up. We've got a T1 at 6886. Small range, right? You guys know I don't like these small moves. And that's why I still have that bullish exposure. Now, if we go, in the hourly, and that's where things get interesting, because at that point, when 6806 gets stopped, then I'm looking for a big move, right? And the big move is going to be, if you go down, test downwards liquidity, you could go to 62.31. At that point, it's probably going to be one of these where we get a sell-off, back another turn, and that's based on the indicators. Hi, Delilah. Good evening. Go ahead and I'm just going to turn off all the indicators for now. I want to check things. I want to look at the daily chart structure. And I want to look at moving averages too. Now the daily looks really interesting, guys. Really interesting. It's got one of the formations, potentially one of the formations that could send us higher, right? And that is a descending broadening wedge. Let's go to 720. I really don't like these candle closes, or the wicks even. So, we're seeing a little bit of a descending broadening wedge. Usually a 5 count. I don't see the full 5 yet, so we might come back down. But, if that's going to line up with that hourly phantom is 61, 62, that's going to be a buy somewhere down here. Counter trade liquidity back to the upside. Now, what's going on with that rising wedge that everybody's talking a fuss about? Is it still valid? Um, Tried to cover that 2 days ago in our previous stream. I'm just not a big fan of it. It's potentially there, but once again, if you go like the BTC1 chart, which is the futures chart, it looks a little different, right? CME looks a little different. We did have a wedge breakdown. We are seeing a descending broadening wedge. There are no gaps below that we're looking to hunt, right? There is no gaps below price currently that need filling. They're all filled. There is, however, a gap above at 91. I'm not saying we're just going to chase gaps, indefinitely. But, I mean, does that really look like a wedge? Where's our parallel channel guy? Where are you? Parallel channel guy from last stream. Just to make him happy. Alright, so we kind of sort of have that channel, but I mean, look at that. My lines look so much better. Alright, you can actually manipulate them. So potentially, we're in a parallel on the futures chart. And conversely, this can be charted like various ways. Like, oh, we had an ascending triangle, right, and it broke out, and now we're retesting. So that's why chart structure is tricky, and I wanted to also check out our moving in averages and see what is going on. And I'm just gonna slap all of them above on, and definitely get out of here. So let's do the max. Drawings. The daily, right? So we're below the 720. Moving averages aren't really showing much either. They're not. 3-day. Now this looks interesting, right? Because what happened whenever we broke above, right? We had a lot of failure here. During 2018, 2019, we went in a corrective phase. Once we broke above, we really didn't come back. We kind of got close back in December. If you guys remember my December long, January long for this run, that was one of the reasons we decided to long over here. Is just this becoming support. Let's go to BLX, which is going to give us the most data. Yeah, so ideally want to see a close for bullish continuation, a close above 71.38. That should send BTC up, right? If we're below, then we're gonna look out for some chops, some more of that, sideways actions, what we've seen in the recent weeks. It's been really frustrating. Long as 67, 64. Yeah, VPN's on, man. Don't want to get doxxed. I'm kidding. So I think 67, 64 is safe. I would move stop to entry, right? Just because what Phantom's doing, or at least not to entry, but wherever you're comfortable with getting stopped. So 67, 64, it's pretty good, man. Here's the thing, right? We do have these hourly midlines, right? And they tend to save the chart more often than not. And potentially, on the hourly, this could be an Adam and Eve. Let's do a 30. Right, so this could be an Adam and Eve. I don't know why we're breaking back down here. Right, and there's still that 3D pending at 75. I think that's a safe long. Just get yourself a conservative stop. Drew, from low of April 16 to high of April 18 on the 4 hour, we broke the 61.8 at 67.84. So would he take fib draw from low now since trend line is broken? From the 16 to the 18, right here. 16th low, 18th high, 23, 38, 50, 61.8 still holding. It is a 67. So yeah, I mean that is a very much a valid fib right there, right? I mean, if you're looking at this range, at this breakout, that is very much valid. The one concerning thing, the only concerning fib that I see is potentially a 61.8 that we missed for a full hedge, right? Let me just flip these guys. But it went above it, so I'm still looking for like this big move 61. And price isn't conforming, and this chart did dip lower than others. Let's go to like Coinbase. That's what's tricky about Bitcoin, is which wick you want to use on which exchange, right? Because that's gonna make a big difference on where your 50 and 61.8s are gonna be. And once again, I want to see, even if it's a fake pump or a scam wick that's going to send this thing flying, potentially 8K. And if this is a descending broadening wedge, we can very well see that breakout take place. And that 61.8, man, that's a good entry. Hang on to that. Crypto check, thank you. Thank you for that. So no potential DBW, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And this looked like a 5 wave to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we've got some kind of ABC correction. I'm not the Elliott wave guy, right? And there's a bit of broadening price action as well. So we haven't had like a real tradable formation that could be executed, not like, where was it? We had I think it was this one that I signaled for a long on that falling wedge. Yeah, and it just shot up the next day. We haven't had anything like that, right? All right, more interesting. Kind of seeing this rally, right? And you're seeing a bit of the chart is low time frame is still trying to hold, right? It's looking good on the low time frames. Back to the S&P, I really think oil's dump is going to trigger a lot of people to just fill shorts, and really try to chase the next market flash crash. And I think that's why it's going to backfire. It's going to backfire on like just blind shorting of, oh, it dumped last time, it must do the same thing now. Our in-house BTC bears, right? Our Bear Force 1 is thinking the same thing. And that's like trading based on trauma. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Well, that's why I'm taking that precautionary approach of having a stop on partial long at 68 and then letting the chart do the work. All right, I'm gonna hop into ETH USD. We filled some partial hedges. We still have long exposure. I'm gonna turn off indicators and we'll bring them right back. I did say short 189, short 190. We did get a fill there. I was eyeing for a bit of a break over here. We never got it, right? This kind of looked like a bull flag on certain time frames. we never got that break, especially this one, right? I mean, this was, you go to the hourly, it's almost a textbook bull flag if you hide everything else behind it, right? You see that breakout, then boom, rejected. Look at that pin bar, and then price is consolidating. Still looking tricky. Let's go to the daily. What are we missing? Down to the wick. So we're still far off the 61.8, the 210, 213 mark that I've been targeting, just like BTC, just like the S&P. I remember, you know, when everybody was bearish down here saying, oh, it's a rising wedge too, you're going back down to $90. We remained long, right? And that really paid off. And then here we had another flag breakout. It's getting tricky, but you know what's good for bulls is we're holding above that 167, 166 mark, which is the 38.2. And I want to see that hold, right? If you get below this zone, you know, it's not going to be very pretty. But as of now, looking at the 8th BTC chart, it's looking promising, guys. I'm still in my leverage long, and we're still above the 3-day trend line. We did come down and hunt liquidity, right? And I'm ready to see this wedge do something, right? I'm ready for this wedge to start breaking to the upside. How does this correlate to like previous ether moves? Consolidating range. I'm gonna go to this wick low and that wick high. There, kind of clean it up a bit. Alright, broke down to a rejection fib, came back up and really took off. And we had something a little different here. We still had that same consolidation zone, and then we broke down, hunted liquidity twice, right? So I mean, this move could have maybe a little bit more fuel in the tank, right? Because there was quite a bit more accumulation here, and then we saw over here, especially on that extended time frame. It could also take longer, right? I mean, there's gonna be more profit taking on the way out, so we'll see how it plays out. I noticed some of you guys, like Snapchat was coming up a lot. Before I hop into traditionals, I was asked about Shopify on Sunday stream. I said we're heading up to like the 668 mark, or was it? Yeah, 668. It got close. It got actually to 6. What was the high? 665, right? That was the high of the day. Looking at it in the corner of my chart, I'm trading view here. Right, last time you guys asked me on Sunday, you said, hey, what's going to happen in the snap? I said we're going to 668. Well, the high of the day was 665. I was $3 off on that target. Hopefully you got out of your calls on that, you know. You took some profit there. One trade I played and I didn't signal it and I should have was I long the VIX yesterday and I got out of the VIX today based on this wedge, right? Based on this wedge and that retest. The Boston VIX calls and I sold them today and I should have signaled it. But it was a good hedge, and with the profits I actually added to my long position because I do think we're still going to 292. Let me pull your chart up. Everyone is long on BidMax. Man, you can't just counter trade the masses, dude. What are we looking at here? I wouldn't just counter trade a bunch of longs, man. You know, I wouldn't do that. And open interest should be fairly low right now. Let me see Promo's last update on open interest. You guys got a lot of charts in here. If you guys are not on Discord, it's on this screen right here. You should probably see part of it. Make sure to click the link and join at least the free Discord. You'll get a lot of value. Shorts paying longs, funding in 34 minutes. So shorts have been paying. Like I paid a lot of money on my short hedge because it's on perpetuals, and that's usually a good sign because you're gonna get tired of holding on to those positions and paying on them. Open interest. Open interest is still low, right? So I don't see a crash happening because there's a lot of leveraged longs. I don't. I'd look for the 61.8 to give, right? And once that happens, it's a different story. What is Michael posting? Michael's are Bear Force 1. Alright. That's about what I've got. You guys give me some charts to look at. I'd like to cover some alts, some stocks, some indices. You're welcome, Paris. I'd like to cover some stocks, indices, altcoins, commodities. I mean, hit me. Let's look at gold, right? I haven't seen any tweets come through from the gold bug that hit my radar. Starting to get really volatile. Bit of a wedge. Let's throw Phantom on here. The Phantom on the daily. What's the hourly doing? Nope. Doing a quick scan. So if you guys that don't know, you guys, first few times watching the streams or so, I did publish on gold saying it's heading up for a bull run. Back in 2019, right over here, and since then it's just been on the upshoot, and that was basically on the structure. It's on our Medium. If you just Google "cats out of the golden bag," you'll read that article. You'll be able to read that article. What's going on now? I mean, it's don't trade against the trend, and it's still going up. And fundamentals are actually in gold's favor because of all world governments are printing a lot of money. Everybody except for a few. I mean, everybody on lockdown is just sending checks. Universal. What do you want to call it? Sending money out. Universal bailout for people and businesses. Once again, let's stick to fibs. You guys see how beautifully this thing matches up, especially over here post breakout. Close above 1700, continuation. If it stays below, then we're probably going to retest that 15.6 mark. But we're above the 61.8, and that's what's really interesting. Right? I mean, at this point, 2100 is not out of question. It's really not. Whether it's now or in a few months. Let's use our scanner. Looks like this scanner is picking up a few tops. There is that 3D, but it's kind of violated here on this 4-point. Maybe a 3-day scanner. Harmonics. And here I'm checking for harmonic patterns, guys. 240. Daily. I wouldn't quite trade against the trend, right? I mean, it's getting up there, and we're above the 61.8, so there's really no reason to short. So the trend is your friend. All right, Zcoin, XZC, it's one of my babies. It had another good day. I had a good day 2 days ago. It's having another good day today. Chewy. Now, I know a little bit about Chewy there. You know, it's like a Amazon for dog food type thing and dog toys. You know, where I live in Puerto Rico, like pet supply stores are still open. And you don't want to go all the way out here. Oh man, that's a tricky one. I mean, if it was here, I'd say it's going to 39. If you're still at 32, now that we're at 43, likely revisit the lows of like 41. I'd say supports at 41, resistance at 43. If Chewy does keep going, if it does take out the next high, then we're looking for like that parabolic move of going up to the 59 range, you know, possibly 62. So I mean, I'd wait for a sell-off if we get one, and then, you know, far out calls 59, $60 a few months out. It's a great possibility. You know, it's above, you know, rejection zones, which is pretty critical. XZC looks like it's set up for another, you know, hopefully another one of these explosive moves. It's definitely doing a bit of a rounding bottom, maybe a double bottom. By explosive move, I mean, you know, something like this. I think it's going to went from $2 to $9. This is the BTC chart, so it's not going to reflect that. But Anon coins, right? Privacy coins are actually doing pretty good. Zeke, who highlighted last stream, was doing good. I did post in my notes saying that these coins are likely to lead the market this time around. It's starting to look turny. I'd expect at least a move to 61.8. You know, I'm not going to leave you hanging and not give a target. So the 61.8 is going to be on the BTC chart. 8,000 sats. So if we do this, you know, another 40% in this at least, and if we clear that, then we're looking for that explosive move of doubling your BTC on this. What am I missing? I'm not missing anything like big picture setups. XZC, BTC, Bittrex. Give me some data. Yeah. Can't trade that range, right? Because I mean, then we're going to sub-zero. That oil range. I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going to try to overcomplicate a chart that does not need overcomplication. It's 1,000 coins, right? It's 1,000 coins for a node. So XZC USD right now, I think it's like $5,000, $4,000 is a node. As of right now. But you know, the reason I like this coin is A, you can get rid of your node. It doesn't, you know, there is no lockup period. If let's say Zcoin decides to go to $12 and you're happy with buying at 4 and selling at 12, then at that point you can just take your coins out of your node, out of your wallet, and you send them to your exchange. You just market sell, right? You can do that. It's not gonna. There's no lockout period or anything, and the coins move fairly fast. More interestingly, you know, right now with the ETH BTC rally, I'd want to look at charts on the Ether. On the Ether pair, and you know, we did have a massive weight down, but It's actually holding its value on ETH. It's up on the last 4 days, and we know it's been gaining, and ETH's kind of been going relatively sideways. That's just how volatility is in the market, right? Things move in waves and cycles, kind of like money flow. All right, fam bam. I was gonna keep this one short and sweet. If you guys don't have any more questions, we're gonna wrap it up. Just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on the oil sell-off, on what I think can happen in indices, highlight a few charts, and kind of save some energy for next stream as I'm starting to do these. Probably every other day. I'm trying to get Coach Kev back on and doing his watch list over the weekend for the following week. Yeah, so click the link, join Discord, chat with us down there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night and trade safe. Use your stop losses. Hedge your bets. Catch you in Discord.